So today we're doing snowflakes. I'm starting off with quilling strip that's 5mm in width, and I'm joining two pieces of these together. That'll give me one long strip. And we're going to roll this into a tight coil on the machine. I like using these machines because it makes it easier for my hands to handle. You can go ahead and use a needle or a quilling slotted tool, up to yourself of how you want to roll it. I just find this easier for me. And once that's completely rolled, we then want to bring out our stencil board. And we want to pop our tight coil into this one and just let it loosen up. You might need to give it a little bit of help. Once you've got the diameter, I'm just going to use a pin just to help space out them lines a bit better. Once you've got the diameter, you can pin that down and then we can adjust the layers. Now on these quilling strips I have adhesive tape. I do prefer to use the glue rather than adhesive tape, it's just what I've got left in my stash of quilling papers, and this was a blue that I wanted to use. So as long as you don't lose that diameter, because we want to make several of these and we want them all to be the same size. I'm just going to use the tweezers just to make sure that is stuck down properly. You can drop it on the desk and it will just open up a little bit better. So from that shape, we want to look for the line that we've glued or stuck together. And I like using this edge because it gives you a nice sharp point. So if you're after doing a point, use the edge where you've just glued. And what we want to do is pull everything from this middle bit over to the bottom, and then just where that line is, keeping that holding your finger and thumb, just make that crease there. Now don't let go of that area just yet, make that crease there, and we're going to pinch it till we get to this kind of circle. Once you let go, what will happen is the papers will sort of go over to one side and it'll give a nice sort of spirally effect. But we want to keep this, on this one we want to keep this bottom bit nice and round. So drop that down and I'll show you what happens. So as you can see, all the papers have gone over to one side. Second shape is very similar. We're going to be taking two strips of quilling paper. And this paper doesn't have the adhesive on the end, so we need to glue these together. Little thing that I found recently actually was by accident. I'm holding this base, the one that the quill paper is actually sat on, and I'm going to pull this outer side. And what it does is eventually you'll start feeling it go loose, and that's gone loose now, and it's pulled it from in between this slot, so you don't end up with that flat kind of where you can see it's been in a slotty tool. I'll show you what I mean when I take it off. So instead of it having that line going across in the middle, it's just a perfect circle in the middle. That just makes for nicer coils. Not sure if you can see it on that camera, but it makes like a little hole rather than like a line from where it's gone into the slotty tool. Just a little tip just to make your quilling a little bit neater. Okay, so we're taking it over to the cork board and we're going to do exactly the same size as the one before. We'll drop that in and let it open up. I'm going to keep my finger on the top of it so it doesn't jump out. And once you've got the diameter, You can do your best to pull it out, or you can use tweezers. So as long as you're not losing that outside measurement, because we want these pieces all to be the same size, you can stick that down. Right, so for this shape, we're doing pretty much the same thing with a slight difference. So I want to keep that edge on this side, and I want to pull all these coils as far down as I can, like that, and make the pinch. So exactly the same as we did with the previous one. And then whilst we still got hold of this end, we're going to let it go. And on this side, so we're still keeping the circle sort of this side, but on this bit, right opposite where you've made that crease, I'm just going to make a, not as a tight crease, because obviously it's a lot thicker here. We're after more of a point than a rounded one like we did with the blue one that we did. Once you let that go, it opens up into a nice shape around the middle. So I've gone away and made some extra ones of these, as I was showing you at the beginning, and the white ones as well. I'm going to start forming this into the snowflake, and I'm not sure if that cork hold's going to be big enough. Just let me get my other one. So there's all our pieces, and I want to make sure that the lines are all going the same way. I'm just putting them in place for now, and then we'll be gluing them together once I know which way they're all going. Okay, that was good. Right, the way I do this so that it doesn't sort of move about too much is I pin one down and keep it in the exact same place, and then the rest of them can all be glued to that one. So that one's nice and stable, so that one's not going to move anywhere, and then we can start sticking these ones next to it. I also want to make sure I've got some on the end. And we'll stick it together. Once you've got them all lined up where you want them, you can always then go in and stick some extra pins in, just to make sure none of them move about. So that's the inside shape. The outside shape we are going to do with these, and we're going to put them right in the middle like that. I do this every time, and I always say I will get myself some parchment paper, and then I never end up doing so. So just be careful you're not putting too much glue on there and it doesn't dribble onto the board below and sticks your piece together to your cork board. Right, extras on this. I've made some tight coils out of the same paper. I'm going to pop these on the outside of each of these. So we're going blue, white, white, blue. And I always check to see where the glued line is, because I'd like to try and hide that whenever I can. I might be putting a bit too much glue on this and it's going to end up seeping through and sticking onto the mat, but we'll deal with that problem when we come to it. So for now I'm just going to put just enough on, because I'm going to be turning this over afterwards and gluing it. And then we're going to do pretty much the same thing with the blue ones onto the end of these ones. And I think I might start using tweezers, because otherwise I'm going to end up getting glue on everything. I've just turned around and my phone's full of glue. And now these look a bit delicate on the ends because it's on a point, but I will show you later that I'm going to be turning this over and gluing it. On the underside, and obviously if it's stuck onto a card, that'll give it more stability as well. And last one. I've got another snowflake that I'm going to be showing you. It's quite a simple snowflake. It doesn't have a lot going on. Like this one's got loads of little bits on it. That one's quite simple and straightforward, but it's quite effective as well. I'll show you that one shortly. Right, that's all done. I'm going to leave that completely alone to dry. Completely, Stacey. Don't come back to it when it's not finished. Let's take these pins out and find out. Okay, this is where I regret my decision of not putting parchment paper down first. But it's basically like making an omelette with no oil. You just have to be careful when you pick it up. So I'm just going to slide a piece of card under there just to assist it. I've loosened most of them layers. But I make these mistakes so you don't have to. You can save yourself a lot of trouble with this if you do what you're supposed to do, which is put parchment paper down first. Where it is possible. It would just be easier if I had to put parchment paper down first. Learn from my mistakes. There we go. So we do have a little bit of cork that's stuck there, but that is going to be the back end. It is all stuck together. It's not going to fall apart as it is at the minute, but I would like to put some extra glue on there. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to get some parchment paper just to make sure it doesn't stick again, and we'll show you the difference. Well, I've got some parchment paper, which I'm going to pin down to the board as soon as I've been able to pick this up. But I do have a line in it, and I couldn't find any on the roll. So I'm going to pin this down just to keep it in place. And I'm going to try and work in this bit so that we don't go over the line, just so it doesn't stick it together. I need a paintbrush and some glue in a pot. Right, I've just had that on, not recording all this whole time, but basically I've flipped it over, I've put some parchment paper underneath so that it doesn't stick, and I've basically gone over all the joints with the glue just to make sure everything's stuck together. Mainly concentrating on these blue ones because it is on a point. I just want to make sure there's definite amount of glue on there to hold it all together. This is the back end, and as you can see on the parchment paper, it's not stuck to it, so it does work better than just doing it directly on the corkboard. So we'll leave that over to one side to dry, and we'll come back to that in a bit. Right, let's bling this baby up. And I definitely want a big silver one in the middle, and I think should do silver on the blue and blue on the white. I think that'll look quite nice. That actually looks quite small now in comparison to the size of the snowflake. So I've took these blue ones off the actual paper, because off the cellophane backing, because as you stick them, as you come to take them off, they don't actually come off on singular, come off in a line, which are really difficult when you come to put it in place. I'm not sure if the small ones are going to be too small for the white. But if they're on the blue, let's have a look. Oh, I think that's actually quite nice, quite delicate. I think I'll stick with that size. Beautiful. Quite like that one. I don't think the camera is actually showing how sparkly them gems are. That's really pretty. Quite pleased with that one. And again with this one, I'll probably hang it from these ones. I mean, it is possible to hang it from that,
get closer, so you can hang it from that, but I wouldn't like to say definite. So if you wanted it on this outside one, I would say probably thread your thread through this one, or do it on them ones. But yeah, quite like that.
Hope you've enjoyed watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and also that notification bell so you get notified when the next 12-day Quillmas comes out.
I've done it the wrong way around. Right, so we've got this shape, we've got this circle basically, and I like dropping it on the desk just to loosen it up a bit. And then she pisses about and loses a full bloody shape. And see if it needs any help. Oh, 3 times that's happened now.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye!